Hey, what's up, guys? Tugi here, back again with another episode of my Hartford Whalers franchise mode series here on NHL 18. You already know this. You know what this series is. I'm glad that you're here. Let's get down to business, because the focus today is trying to make sure that we maintain a good thing. We ended up with 53 points out of our first 36 games. We're currently in first place in our division. We have a 10-point lead over the St. Louis Blues. However, there are obvious issues with the team, and that mainly comes in the form of these 6 players in the bottom 6. Of course, Zachary Senyshyn is the one that mainly comes to mind when you talk about players we could trade and look to get an upgrade over. Ivan Kosarenkov, perhaps still not ready for the NHL, but he's waiver eligible, so we're kind of stuck with him. I'm happy with Taylor Radish, Connor Brown, Tierney, and Jones. It's just mainly Senyshyn that we're not too happy about. And when you talk about what we can do, of course, we can go out and try to find an improvement. We could call someone up in-house. We have Warren Dirksen, who is also a depth player and is looking pretty good, especially, just all around, as an offensive force, but he looks like a decent enough two-way player, the former 4th round pick in the very first draft, and he's doing fairly well with 25 points. There's also Travis Zajac, who we acquired on waivers, and, despite him being 36 years old now, he is still a pretty well-rounded player that could do a good job for us on the 4th line. And there's also Sebastian Olsson. Now, I wanted to point him out in particular because you'll notice he's a grinder, yet what stats? Where is he mainly improving? He's more of a playmaker, and that's why when it comes to people saying, oh, change a player to this type because he might develop this way, I don't feel as though that's the case. More often than not, from my experiences, players just develop the way they're going to develop, and it makes more sense to change the player type after the fact. I didn't change Sebastian Olsson to a grinder. He is a grinder in the game, but if you look at him, he's turned into one hell of a playmaker, and even defensively, solid enough, good skater, so we could call him up and give him a chance. He's 24 years old, and odds are he'll be good enough to crack the NHL lineup next year. So we do have a couple of options. I am going to give Senyshyn one extra chance, one more chance, one final chance. There are moves we could make, again, whether it's calling somebody up, Carl Soderberg is a free agent option, or whether it's making a trade. I want to keep this team together for the moment, though, until it starts to slip a little, and then we can look to make the moves. However, what I am going to change is I'm going to change him to a grinder. Now, you might be saying, well, Tugi, he doesn't exactly have the best checking stats. I want him to be a grinder, though, because I want him to make extra use of that speed. I'm honestly going to change Kosarenkov to a grinder. And essentially what I want them to do at this point is just take advantage of that speed. Be a pest. I'm not going to expect goal scoring out of you, but being minus players, that is unacceptable. So that's my way of just trying to give them a different look, a different role, and seeing if they can kind of turn it around. Otherwise, we will make changes. But, of course, in the meantime, we have continued to win hockey games. So it really is tough, and I don't want to make these drastic changes right now. I want to just double-check to see if this team proves to be the real deal. As well as, and I should have mentioned this as well, re-signing players mid-season. We're going to take a look at that in a second. I was just looking at that before I started recording this episode, and there's a couple of intriguing things, I would say, at this point. You guys will see in a minute when it comes to what players are willing to accept contract extensions and what players aren't. It's going to create a little bit of a problem, just a little bit of a problem as we move forward. So let's go take a look at that before we continue the season sim. Again, the goal is to make it through the regular season in this episode. I'm not sure if that's going to happen. We'll find out. It really depends on what trades we have to make, if any. But when it comes to re-signing players, I am allowed to look at all expiring, am I not? Yes, I am. Okay, so we'll start off with the forwards. Nolan Patrick, willing to sign a contract extension. I'm going to try to sign him up right now. I'm going to say $625 over 2 years, maybe try to discount that just a little bit. Again, 85% trick is really hit or miss, so we'll see what he says about that. Daniel Sprong, also looking for a new deal. I'm going to try to sign him up. 5.5 for me sounds good. He's our leading scorer right now. So far, so good. Andre Burakovsky, I would say, deserves that contract extension. Might not be the most ideal player on the second line, but we always could drop him down to the third line on power play time. Senyshyn, not yet. Connor Brown, though, not willing to accept an extension right now, which is a little bit disappointing. Again, he is really that perfect, bottom six player for us. I'd say he's replaceable, though. Max Jones is going to be looking for a contract extension. We'll sign him up. Dirksen as well, of course, progressing very nicely. And as you can tell, he is preparing to be an NHL regular next year. Aside from that, we might as well re-sign Bodens. Why not? Ivani, Koltsov, Whitman, Denny, and McCann. They're not all that important. On defense, Fowler, not willing to re-sign, so that could be a bit of a problem moving forward. I don't know whether or not I want to re-sign Ryan McDonough, We have to figure that out. It is, it could be a possibility. Delzato's a rental. Of course, we'll look to re-sign Liljegren. He's not asking for that much money, which kind of scares me. Juuso Valimaki also would need to be re-signed. We'll sign him up. He's expecting to be an NHL regular next year. Phil Crosby, might as well sign him up now. Same with McIntyre, Yuri Hedobin, and Bodine. Might as well get these out of the way now, right? And then we get to the big problem. Korpisalo and Subban, neither are willing to re-sign. That could be an issue. Of course, we had to hand Korpisalo a pretty ridiculous contract this year. We had to overpay to keep both of them this year. So I'm a little bit anxious about that, because there's a really good chance we could lose them. And while it is possible to trade someone with an expiring contract at the draft, I don't know if we can necessarily rely on that actually happening in case we can't re-sign him. So we'll see what happens. Bodine will be back next season, as will Bodens, Hedobin, Allen. All right, so we get a couple of answers. Burakovsky's going to be back. Jones, Sprong, Patrick, Valimaki, Liljegren, Crosby. Beautiful. Everybody accepted, which is what I was hoping for. Unfortunately, what I wasn't hoping for was for us to lose our first 3 games. Our first 4 games. Okay. This is what I was afraid of, and every time we end up with a strong start to a season, this thought always comes up of what happens when you exit the mode and start simming again. We finally get a win this episode. We beat the Flyers. We might as well go to the 16th. We beat the Rangers 7-4. Can we beat Arizona? Yes, we can. All right, so 4 straight losses to begin the episode, at least 2 pity points out of that, and then a 3-game winning streak. So, it's so tough to figure out what to do with this team. It really is. It's such an intriguing team. We still have a decent lead, a 7-point lead on the Blues, so they weren't able to really make up much ground. Sprong is still just over a point a game player. I want to take a look at that third line. Still minus players. 10 points now for Senyshyn, 15 for Kosarenkov. All right, I know, some of you were just screaming at me, like, just make the trade, figure it out now, improve now. You got to remember, though, we're still without Roman Josi. We're still winning, in spite of missing, our best defenseman. So I think for the moment, we're going to sim to February 1st. Roman Josi should be back soon, which will obviously be a big boost for this team. We lose 3-2 to Detroit, but we do beat the Columbus Blue Jackets 4-2. And as well, when it comes to Joonas Korpisalo, the concern, as Jake Gardiner breaks his nose, the concern is that Malcolm Subban has had the much higher save percentage. But let's see here. We are now without Jake Gardiner as well, which means Phil Crosby. Phil Crosby gets the call up, and to be honest, that's one thing we could really look right now at doing, is improving our defensive depth. No, I don't want to scratch David Pastrnak. I want to go down the best lines. Thank you very much. Defense, it's looking all right. Well, it's looking all right still, all things considered. And you know what? I think that is what we'll do. I mean, it would suck to not have Jorgensen and Hedobin in the lineup, but we are going to need some extra depth. There is no doubt about that. Henrik Lundqvist is in. Oh, we just got to change the shootout lineup. Dirksen, Olsen, Watson, and we'll put in Andrews. Perfect. All right, so defensive injuries. We have won 3 straight games. Again, this team is so weird. I'm a little bit worried. I'm not necessarily panicking, but I feel like this could be a really good year for us, and I'm afraid to make moves. I'm afraid to make improvements because of what it could do, to this team. I don't want to screw up like the magic that we have going here. But also, there's no denying there are still certain weak points when it comes to our team. Again, let's set everything up. Roman Josi is back, thankfully. And down in the AHL, let's go to defense. Well, I said let's go to defense. Thank you very much. And Lundqvist will be out for Phil Crosby. Right, so we will take a look probably just at the free agent list. I don't think we'll go out and acquire anybody, but we'll at least take a look at the free agent list before deadline day to try and bring in some extra help. And that'll give a boost to the Connecticut Whale, and at the very least, a lot of these players have played the majority of the season. All right, so we did pick up Del Zotto, and again, at this point, he is just going to be a healthy scratch. We had to pick him up to get us through this month, and by default, he is a healthy scratch as well, so that helps us out quite a bit. I was wondering if I was going to have to take out Liljegren for him. That is not the case, and Liedeker goes down to injury for a few weeks. All right, that's unfortunate. However, it does mean that Senyshyn is going to get a chance on that second line. And I'll probably change him back to a sniper. If he can prove that he can deliver, cool. If not, he's gone. I'm going to call up Zajac just because I'm not concerned about him getting claimed on waivers, obviously. So Travis Zajac will get the chance here. So we got Senyshyn, who still isn't doing much in terms of point production. Let's go, Kosarenkov, Tierney, Radish, Jones, Zajac, Brown. That works out pretty well. So again, I'm going to change Senyshyn to a sniper once more. And he'll be working with Sprong and Burakovsky. Down in the AHL, let's see, who can we put into this lineup at this point? You know what, let's just go best lines because it is all just our players at this point. So, yeah, we're looking good. Goaltending is still good. Yep, Mikanov and Allen. Sweet. So, let's change Senyshyn to a sniper. We are still, of course, going to be in first place in this division, and we have the lead by 9 points over the Blues. Mitch Marner now leading the team in points. He's a point-a-game player, 49 points in 49 games. That is pretty damn ridiculous. All right, Senyshyn, it's your time to shine. You have a couple of games here to really prove yourself. Again, I don't even know if I'm going to trade you because I'm so afraid of screwing up what we have here. And that's the thing. Yes, the attitude always is, well, if you can improve your team, why not? And yes, I did just see that Dylan Larkin's on the trade block. We can improve our team. But what did we witness recently on a Twitch live stream? Well, in our throwaway series, we got to witness a 76 overall goalie win the Buffalo Sabres a playoff series. We lost to a 76 overall goalie in 7 games. So sometimes getting better players doesn't always guarantee those extra wins and that extra bit of success. Despite very obvious weak points with this team, we are continuing to win games. So you can understand why I'm so hesitant to make these changes. Senyshyn's up to 15 points. Again, still not great. Let's just go best lines for now. Honestly, Zajac will just stay scratched at this point. Liedeker's back. The defense is good. Yeah, we'll just keep Zajac as a healthy scratch at this point. That'll get the extra prospect into our lineup. That's at least 4 straight wins. Can we make it 5? We won't find out just yet. Sami Niku is on waivers. Let's see, 25 years old, 75 overall, 96 hand-eye. Damn. To be honest, he's not bad. He's not bad. But when talking about potential, when talking about signing potential depth, how much higher in overall can we get signing a depth player? I think about a 77-ish. He is listed as an AHL top 2. I'm gonna decline. I'm going to decline. I'd rather have my pick from the open market. And with 37 wins on the year, 12 losses, 5 overtime losses, it's still looking good. It is. It's still looking good. We now have an 11-point lead on the Blues in the division title race. I just don't know if I can make any changes. Again, can I trade Senyshyn? Sure. Of course I can. And he's not doing that great. And am I going to bring him back next year? Probably not. Kosarenkov, not too happy with him. I mean, his point production's gone up a little bit. I could easily play him on the fourth line. Oh, damn. So what if we go Tierney? I meant to obviously go over and bump up Connor Brown, as I've lost connection to the EA servers. Nice. I don't care. I don't care. Yeah, I think Senyshyn has to go. I think he has to go. Because it's a bit of a waste to have him on the fourth line. But you know what? I mean, maybe we'll just keep him and have him on the fourth line for now. Why not? I don't know if I can make changes aside from bringing in depth players, guys. I don't know if I can do it. Let me take a look really quick at how many contracts we have and whether or not I can bring in some depth players. We'll look to bump up the Connecticut Whale a little bit. Some players will lose a spot and will have to suffer, but it's for the betterment of the team. We currently have 47 contracts. So if I were to make a trade, now would definitely be the time. And with the threat of Connor Brown still leaving, it might just be better to have him on the fourth line. So let's take a look around the league. Why not? Let's see who's on the block. Again, it's not a rule that I can only trade for players on the block, but I prefer to look at these players that are only on the block just because they're a bit easier to get. Now, Christian Dvorak and Anthony Duclair are upset. Nick Merkley is furious with his team. Now, he's having a bit of a rough season. They haven't played Duclair at all. I mean, all of them were listed as second-line players. But with their overall the way it is, with their morale the way it is, I don't know. It's tough to say whether or not we should go for any of them. Duclair at least does have an expiring deal. Let's take a look. 26 points last year. He hasn't played a single game this year. That is a really weird situation with what's going on in Arizona at the moment. Buffalo's not getting rid of anybody. Again, we're looking for players that could really help out here in the bottom six. Patrick Berglund? How's Patrick Berglund doing? 15 points, a minus 19. No, thank you. Just no, thank you. I mean, even then, we could find somebody who's a second-line player. That's not the normal Radulov there. We could find somebody who's a second-line player and simply drop them down to the third line if they're a rental. Dylan Larkin on the block at 25 years old, has 24 points this year. He's on an expiring deal as well. Could I bring in Dylan Larkin as a rental? What would I really have to give up to make that happen? Let's see. Henrik Lundqvist. 58 overall, 21 years old. Very, very slim chance he actually improves in time. So with Henrik Lundqvist as my main bartering piece, there's a chance I could bring in Dylan Larkin to replace Senyshyn. And that would be ridiculous. He's not having the best season, but he could be the player to bring in. Hey, there's Radulov. What do you know? Back up to Montreal, please. Finds himself on the Habs, of course, because 2 years left. No, thank you. Of course, because this was the 32nd team expansion, not up-to-date rosters, or at least not completely. Philip Forsberg is on the block. Now, I can't. I've sworn off of bringing him back. Colin Wilson is on an expiring deal. Wow. 41 points for Colin Wilson this season. I mean, he's on an expiring deal, too, and he would be a perfect third liner. He's cheaper than Larkin, and probably a better rental option, because I don't know if we'd really be able to afford to keep Larkin in the future. I mean, we could. We could probably keep Larkin and drop Burakovsky down to the third line center spot. But Burakovsky has really fought to keep that spot this year. So I could get Dylan Larkin. But Colin Wilson is having an amazing season. Mike Green, not so much. At least with that plus-minus. Got Martinuk for the fourth line. Shipachyov. Poor Shipachyov in real life and in this game, apparently. So right now, it's definitely between Larkin and Wilson. For who I've seen so far, Mike Hoffman's up there. On an expiring deal as well and having a really good season. Wow. I mean, you talk about the type of player that we could look to bring in right now. It's pretty ridiculous. But again, how much do we want to change the team? How much do we want to change the team? When you look at our defense, yes, there's no guarantee over Fowler re-signing. We could potentially get an improvement on Jake Gardiner, but he's done well this year. And I say that after looking at Damon Severson, who is technically 2 overall points better. I mean, I could use Gardiner to get Severson. Oh my God. 1 year left, 32 assists, 0 goals. Oh man, this is tough. This is tough. I didn't plan on adding anybody on defense, but using Jake Gardiner to get Damon Severson, and not to mention Mike Hoffman's there. He's having a great year, and we could get him into the top 6 and drop Burakovsky down. But again, it's just, you look at these improvements, but we'd have to sacrifice these players that have been doing so well. And it's like, you look at Andre Burakovsky, he's been hanging in there. It's just, do I want to go for these obvious improvements or stick with the players that have gotten us to this point? And it might not be the smartest move, but I think I'm going to stick with these players. I'm going to stick with these players. I'm going to stick with the players that have gotten us to this point. So no, I won't trade Jake Gardiner to get Damon Severson. I won't get Mike Hoffman. I'm thinking it's going to be Wilson. Again, we could get Mike Hoffman, but I wouldn't want to waste him on the third line, although granted with the power play time, he'd still do all right. So at the very least, with the defense, we're fine, but Larkin, Wilson, Hoffman are players that I am absolutely considering. Zach Smith is like the perfect third line guy, but he has 3 years left, so there's no way. Henrique's on an expiring deal. Not Hoffman, but Wilson's having a much better year. I'm so impressed with Colin Wilson having a 40-plus point season. It's pretty crazy. Tyler Johnson's there on an expiring deal. He's doing well this year. Let's see, who else? Ghost Bear, Pajot, Braden Shen. Shen's having a good year. Pajot's having a good year. Shen, though, is on an expiring deal. That's the thing about Wilson, though, too, is he's much cheaper. And then I could use Lundqvist elsewhere and just give up somebody else instead. I'm thinking it's going to be Colin Wilson. Oh my God, Morgan Riley's on the block. Toronto, they are having a crisis right now. I mean, I am kind of tempted to go after Morgan Riley and trying to use Ryan McDonagh to do so. Especially with McDonagh at his age. Well, actually, McDonough's willing to sign. Fowler isn't. Damn, man. How crazy is this episode potentially going to get? Why are Toronto selling, though? They have a winning record, technically. 30 wins. They're right in the mix. You got Kadri, Tatar, JVR. Kadri has a good year at this point. Tatar's having a good year. JVR's having a good year. There are so many players that fit the role that we need right now. James Neal, Riley Smith. Riley Smith's having a good year and is on an expiring deal. Wow. But none of those players are having the season that Colin Wilson's having, and none of them are as cheap as Colin Wilson, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I mean, Colin Wilson's value, it's down there. 41 points for him. I'm not sure what's gotten into him. But he would be a great third liner for us. And again, I wouldn't have to give up much. And then when you're talking about if I wanted to potentially trade Cam Fowler for Morgan Riley, I could then use Lundqvist to make that happen. How has Fowler done this year for us, though? He's done really well. That's the thing that sucks. I'd love to keep Cam Fowler. But he said he has, or has no intention of re-signing or whatever, unless I hand him a lot more money. Even then, we're talking Fowler and other prospects to make that happen. I think we could. But then again, man, just keeping this team together. You know what? Every other year, I would sit here and get these big name improvements, and how many times has that not worked? We're going to take the road less traveled, and we're going to go after a lesser, not necessarily a lesser player in attributes or, stats, but a lesser player as far as name value goes. And we're going to go after Colin Wilson. And I think I'm going to give up Will Nemish to do it. 54 overall. Yeah, there we go. The value's looking all right. That's the thing. I'm not going to have to give up much at all to get him either. So let's see. How about Nemish, a 4th and 2/6 for Wilson? Rejected, but it's close. Just like, I have to. Now, you could say give up Senyshyn to make this happen. And I'm not totally against that. Actually, you know what? I am going to do that. I mean, here's the thing. What's Senyshyn's value? What is Senyshyn's value? So I could get a little bit back for him. I'm just going to make him a healthy scratch. And he'll be there if we need him, because I'm not going to lose him on waivers. So yeah, I could trade him right now, but still having him in that locker room could be good for Roman Josi and Gabriel Carlsson. So we're going to keep Senyshyn. We're going to keep this team together, which again, yeah, I'm missing out on draft picks. Oh no, as if I don't typically get enough draft picks. So, I mean, there we go. We have Colin Wilson. When it comes to potentially not trading Senyshyn, it could hurt in the way of getting a defensive player for depth. We will see. I mean, we still have Del Zotto. I want to get one more player. And actually, there's really not anybody that great. So let's see here. And we'll sort by two-way deals as well. There we go. So we got a bunch of 76 overall guys. We got Justin Falk. Not the best two-way defenseman. Jack Dougherty is there, 25 years old now. Decent, but not too impressed. Libor Hayek. Again, offensively, it's not that great. Zaborovsky, no thank you. Nicholas Hansen. Nicholas Hansen is an offensive monster. You got Rob O'Gara, Cody Golubev, Andy Walensky, Joe Morrow, Adam Clendenning, England. It's got to be Hansen. It's got to be Hansen. And we'll sign him up for the rest of the year. Hopefully we have the spot for him. I'm trying to take a different approach from what I would normally do. And I want to see if that pays off. Yes, we could sit here and trade for better players. We could sit here and get rid of certain players for picks. I'm not denying that. Obviously, we could do that. But what if we try something different for once? That's my argument. Let's try something different for once. And you know what? Let's, I'm going to keep Chris Tierney. So we're going to go Wilson, Tierney, Radish, Jones, Kosarenkov, Brown. It's looking all right. And we'll see what Colin Wilson can do. I mean, he's in a little bit of a reduced role, I'm sure, compared to what he was doing. Does he have PK time at least? Wow, he's not on the PK. Okay, that would be I imagine that would be a little bit of a problem for him. So we will take Max Jones off of the penalty kill, and we'll put in Colin Wilson. And hopefully he's happy just with that, and that I don't need to give him power play time. Hopefully. There's a chance that he won't be too happy about it. We'll see what happens. And here's the thing, guys, right? There's still enough time that I could end this episode and give you guys a chance to kind of give your feedback just before the deadline. Maybe I'll do that. But I feel pretty confident with this team right now. Again, yeah, there are clear issues with this team. There are, improvements we could make. There are players we could get rid of to get extra draft picks and to clear out a roster spot. But we're on 81 points. We're 11 points ahead of the Blues with this team despite those issues. So I'm content. I mean, we have Del Zotto now for a little bit of depth. We still have Zajac just sitting there as a scratched player. Senyshyn is a healthy scratch right now. Like, we have that team depth. And, of course, down in the AHL, Olsen and Dirksen, easy call-ups right now. Hansen is there now as a call-up. He's going to be playing with Valimaki. Phil Crosby, of course, has gotten some ice time this year. I need to stay with this. I need to see what happens. I think I'll sim to the end of the episode, or to the end of the season in this episode, and we'll see what happens. There have been so many times, too, where we've, made it into the postseason and have been able to say, like, okay, we clearly have the superior team, and then we don't make it. There have been so many times where it's like, hey, we can make this improvement and that improvement and this improvement, and then we make them, and we still lose in the postseason anyway. Now, again, there are those obvious things, like just trade Senyshyn to get an extra pick or whatever and to clear up that roster spot, but again, it's such an obvious move to make, so let's not make it for once. That's my argument. Unfortunately, we have lost 2 straight games as we approach deadline day. Can we please avoid a 3rd straight loss against Toronto? No, we can't. All right, so we continue to be at, oh my God, really? 4 straight losses, guys? Don't make me regret this decision. 4 straight losses. Let's please not have it be 5. I mean, that would be a bit of a disaster. Can we beat the Bruins at least? Please. Please. Okay. We lost 5 straight games, but we did beat the Bruins. That really doesn't help when I'm sitting here talking about being confident with this team and wanting to see what this team can do. They go on to, lose the next 5 games. However, we are still in first place in the division, 10 points clear of both Dallas and St. Louis. That is ridiculous. We'll take a look at the stats and see how these guys are doing. So David Pastrnak right now on 55 points. Not too bad. Mitch Marner still having one hell of a season for us. Is he going to approach a new career high? Maybe. He's got 19 games to get up to 72 points. He had a career high in points last year. And Nolan Patrick, not too shabby. What's that, 44 points if my math isn't failing me? Hey, I know how to math good. But do I know how to English? Lucas Ledecker is on 51 points. Oh my God. Andre Burakovsky, I mean, how could I get rid of him? He's on 49 points. And then Daniel Sprong. Unreal. That second line's incredible. I'm so happy with our top 6. And then on the third line, you still have Colin Wilson. He's on 45 points so far this year. Chris Tierney, of course, has upped the offensive production a little bit. Taylor Radish is on 16 points. You got Jones with 6 points. Kosarenkov's been improving. You could argue he'd be worth putting back on the third line. Defensively, Yossi's doing well. Fowler's doing well. McDonough's doing well. Gardner, 20 points, doing well. The plus-minus kind of starts to drop once you get towards the last 3 defensemen. And then the goaltenders. Subban's still been lights out. Korpisalo isn't doing that great. Let's be honest, he's not doing that great. Only 1 shutout on the year, but we're winning. We are winning. So again, you know what? I think I'll still end the episode. I am going to end the episode here because I want you guys to, have your input. The obvious thing to do would be to trade Senyshyn. Of course, Ajak and Del Zotto, it's fine. The obvious thing to do is to trade Senyshyn. And, I mean, as far as the lineup goes, we're good for the moment, I'd say. Defensively, we're good. You could argue trading Cam Fowler and trying to get Morgan Riley if he's still there, just because Fowler doesn't want to re-sign, but he is on 39 points this year. Maybe he'll change his mind. Defensively, or goaltending-wise, we know we're going to have trouble re-signing Korpisalo. Malcolm Subban's doing great. Why not trade Korpisalo to bring in whoever to bolster this team? But again, we're in first place. I'm so conflicted. There's the obvious road of improve your team, stupid. But then there's the other road that's, the sign says, this is an EA video game. This sim engine is a... how to say this? This sim engine is a disaster in that it is so unpredictable and you never quite know what the right combination is going to be to win games. So guys, we are just shy of the trade deadline. You have a chance to give me your final bit of feedback and suggestions for what you think we should do or shouldn't do as we approach the playoffs. So the next episode, if we don't make any deals, it could be a shorter one, but again, I mean, we are right there. We're talking President's Trophy contention with the team that we currently have. It is mind-boggling. And the question is, can we make this team even better with the additions, or will we lose something? Will we lose a little bit of that magic by messing with the formula? That is the decision we have to make. Guys, I hope you did enjoy. If you did, feel free to support the video. Of course, as always, though, just watching in the first place is good enough for me, and I appreciate the support. Links are in the description to my Twitter and to my Twitch. Follow me along on there if you haven't already. Stamkos is having one hell of a year, and we're neck and neck with Tampa, despite not having a Stamkos or a Kucherov. That is incredible. I will stop rambling. I will see you guys in the next one where we find out if we can actually manage to win a division title, or perhaps we get a little bit presidential.